Some months ago, we demoed artillery.io for you, but what if you want to add realistic-looking data to your site using artillery.io? Let's mash on that. Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Asp.Net Monsters. In today's episode, we're going to do, I think it's our third episode on artillery.io. We will link the other two episodes down below, but those are not, I guess, super important to watch before this, but it'll give you an idea of what we're talking about. So if you have not watched those videos, and you don't intend to go and click on the links that we helpfully put down there, Artillery is a load testing tool for websites. It's written in JavaScript, it's very quick to get up and running, and if you want, you can scale out to this Artillery Pro, which runs your tests on, I think, AWS against thousands of machines, so you can get some really high load levels. But we're just going to run this locally right now. So I have here a handy-dandy little Asp.Net application, which looks suspiciously like I have just done file new project, mostly because I have done file new project to get this up.
It's not usually what we do here, is it?
No, normally we spend hours building really in-depth demos and get into real nitpicky details of the system. So this is a very simple form: email, password, confirmation, and then sign in, basically. So we want to just load test this. We want to throw a bunch of users into our database. Problem is a couple of things. This email field is checked here. So if I just put any old junk here, then this is not a valid email address. So I'm not going to be able to save this. And password is a little bit the same too. So there's a minimum password length, and there's also a minimum password complexity that's required to build an account on this site. So just using our standard artillery test where we fire known strings into this, it's not going to work very well because we'll end up running into problems as our emails get reused and those sorts of things. So what we'd like to do is put some kind of realistic looking data into the system. And for that, there is a very handy library here called Faker.js. So Faker pretty much does what it claims to. You can ask faker.name.findName or .internet.email, and it will generate usernames and email addresses for you. It'll make fake credit cards. It can create fake passwords, all of those sorts of things. So there's a gigantic list here of all the different sorts of things that Faker knows about and can build handily for you. So we are going to pull that in, and we are going to use that against our artillery tests to try and build realistic users for our system here. So let's drop over to ye olde Visual Studio Code here and try that out. And I am going to just go and change my font size up a little bit here.
This is cool. When you introduced this, I thought you were going to be like loading data from a CSV or something.
No, I'm going to go right against Faker. You can load data from CSV too, but this feels
cool.
like a pretty easy way of doing things too. Okay, so what I've got here is I have got an empty file here, createaccount.yml, and I have an empty functions.js file here. So I'm going to start here. So this is the test definition for our artillery test. So I'm going to cheat a little bit and just grab some stuff from off screen and go through it here. So I just have the target to run against localhost. I've got a phase where I just have an arrival rate of 1 and a duration of 1. So this is just going to run once. And I have hooked in a processor here called functions.js, which is a link to our functions file. So now I'm going to go and try and just create some users. So I'm going to start here. Every time I paste YML, it's wrong. So I'm going to start with these scenarios here. So we're going to create a user. And the first step in our user is we're going to call out to a function called createEmail, and that's going to be defined in our function.js file. So already in here I have a package.json, and I've already installed Faker, so we can just require that in straight off the bat here. So this gives us access to all the Faker stuff for building fake email addresses and those sorts of things. And then I'm going to create a function in here So the signature of this function takes in a user context, it takes in events, and it takes in done. So we're interested in these outside two at the moment. So the user context is the context of this artillery test here. So if we want to assign variables, we can do that with user context.vars and then give it our variables that we want to assign. So what I've done here is I've done faker.internet.email to get an email address, and faker.internet.password with a length of 12 to get a password. The passwords that I generated here do not have any special characters in them, so I just added a $sign to the end of it to make sure it passes my validation. And then we just add this to our module exports, and away we go. So that is basically all we need to do from the JavaScript side to get this set up. And then on the other side, we can go and create a post to this site here like this. So at the end here, I'm just going to log out the email and password as well. And that should really be most everything that you need. Now, one trick that I did come across here is that we are running this against our local host. And at the moment, I'm running on SSL, but it's not the certificate that I'm running is a development certificate, so Node.js does not trust it. So I just went and set no TLS, reject unauthorized, certificates equals 0 here, just to force Node to allow me to run against the local environment. If you don't run with that, you get an error about something totally unrelated sounding. But fortunately, Google found it for me. So let's go and run this test. So it's really simple, artillery run, create account. So we'll just run that real quickly here. And you can see here, it's run very quickly, 15 milliseconds, but the response code that we got back was a 400. Now, the trick on this particular page, if we go and take a look at what gets posted back if we go and create a new account here. So I'm just going to go and create an account. And some sort of password. Oh man, there's no way these passwords match. Ah, I was being so creative with my passwords too.
That felt a little long.
I still don't think that matched. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to type it in over here where I can see what I'm typing. And then I'm going to copy it. All right.
It's time for sure.
Yeah, okay. So then we pull up a little F12 action here. I'm going to hit register, and I'm going to see what went across the wire here. So we got an email, a password, a confirmation password, but we also got a request verification token here. So this request verification token is something that Asp.Net is adding to the page to make sure that I'm in fact the one posting back. Yeah, so we need to add that to our artillery page or artillery request. But obviously this is a pretty random looking token, so it's unlikely that we're going to guess what that is. So what we need to do is actually add another request to our flow here, where we just go and load that page, and then we extract the token from that page. So I'm going to add that in here. So we're just going to fire off get, and then we're going to use this capture function here to read through the response and pull out the token. And I'm using this selector for this, so this just takes like a CSS style selector here. I think it takes a jQuery style selector even, which is I think slightly more than CSS provides. And then I want to pull the value from the matched thing and then just return that as request token. And we'll log that out just so we know that it's working. So let's go and run that here.
You need to add it to your form as well?
Oh yes, I do. I took that out earlier. Good catch. Yeah, so we'll send that across too.
It's not too bad. I thought getting that token was going to be a lot harder.
No, it's pretty easy. So the capture functionality here, We'll select either XPath or jQuery, or if what you're getting back is JSON, it'll parse the JSON and extract it for you. The one place I have found that this has fallen down is I had an instance where I wanted to see like what was inside an H1 tag, like this, and I could not find any way of retrieving this like in a HTML.
Interesting.
So that's the only place that I have seen it fall down, but otherwise it works pretty well. Okay, so we got a 200 back from that. If we look back through our logs here, we can see we got this token and we created a user with this email address and this password. So that's kind of boring, but we can ramp up the duration here and we can take it up to like 100 requests a second. I have no idea if this is going to work against my machine, but we'll give it a try and see. Seems like it runs pretty quickly.
Neat.
And that should be creating a load of users over in SQL Server. I'm curious to see what this ends up being. So with all of these requests, the median time was 38 milliseconds and 99% of requests were served in less than 146 milliseconds. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. I don't know what those 302s are versus the...
Yeah, I'm not sure about that either. But if we go, let me go see if I can steal some SQL Server information here. So if I run this query, it has created like a ton of users in here. So
That's cool.
we're in pretty good shape around that. Yeah, but this was pretty easy to set up. You can easily get fake data and push it in using this methodology, and then if you wanted to, you could farm this out using artillery.io Pro and run it on thousands of machines to really hammer servers. But yeah, this is a pretty decent sort of way of doing things, I think.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. Well, I think that's pretty much it for this episode. So thanks again, everybody, for joining us on the Asp.Net Monsters. Remember to like, comment, and share. And if you feel the need, you could probably write a tool that liked it using artillery.io, because you really, really like this stuff. You could use 100,000 likes. And we'll see everybody in next week's episode. Bye.
Bye.